The title for this one, are the judges ready? I apologize. We're truly trying to get you out of here. The title for this one are Two Marines and an Engineer Walk into a Bar. You know how to use the mic? You gotta get up on it, like you're gonna give it a blowjob.
Roger.
Okay, no, Laura.
Laura. Roger, Laura.
Oh, but you told me to, oh my.
Okay, so my name's Karl.
Hi, Karl.
Way back in May of 2012, I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and I was invited to a bicycle racing camp at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where I went to pilot a tandem bike for a blind Marine who had been blown up in Iraq. He walked by an IED, it blew up, and he misplaced one of his eyeballs and got some stuff in his other eyeball, and so he's blind. At the camp, there was another Marine who had his leg shot off, and but got into bicycle racing. And so the three of us were at this camp, and Jason, the blind Marine, he had to leave early. And so the night before he left, Jason and Mason, the Marine who had his leg shot off, the two of them asked if I'd take them out for beers. I said, all right, that sounds cool. So we went down to downtown Colorado Springs, and there's this bar there called Phantom Canyon, and we had a couple beers, and then we went over to Pita Pit and had some snacks. And Mason, the Marine with a one leg that was his and one leg that somebody gave him, he asked the girl working at Pita Pit if she had ever hooked up with a guy with a prosthetic leg. And I was like, Mason, we should go. So we started heading back towards the Olympic Training Center, and they said, Karl, we'd really like to have some more beers. And I said, well, that's cool, but I really can't have any more beers and still operate a motor vehicle tonight. So I said, there's this bar conveniently located across the street from the Olympic Training Center. It's called the Finish Line, and if you guys want, I'll take you over there, and if you want to hang out, then I'll take the car back to the training center, and then I'll come walk over and get you. So we went in, poked our heads in the door, and there were people drinking beer and drinking other things. So they wanted to stay, as Marines are apt to do. And I went back and returned the car, and then came walking over. And while I was away returning the car, Jason and Mason had made friends with this guy named Josh, who bought us a couple rounds of drinks, and we thought, hey, this guy Josh, he's pretty cool. Josh was in the Army, and I maybe should have prefaced this story by saying that night I was wearing the same fleece that I'm wearing tonight, which I'll turn around and you'll see why this is relevant. So I got this fleece for piloting a tandem bike for a blind Navy veteran at the Wounded Warrior Games in 2011, the year before. And Jason couldn't see it, so he had no idea that I was walking him around everywhere with this fleece on. But so this gentleman, Josh, who was in the Army, he asked me something, and I wasn't quite sure what to say about it. And then he seemed to get really upset with me, and he started saying, "Say what? Say what?" And I said, Josh, I really don't know what you're talking about. And then he really got aggressive with me. And, Jason and Mason, they were both like legitimate combat veterans. One of them had been blown up by an IED, the other had his leg shot off. So, they're really not inclined to be intimidated by anything that a person in a bar can say. And, I knew that I'd brought them to the bar and they had my back. But at the same time, I wanted to kind of handle my own business. So, Josh was getting right up in my face, and I said, "It really seems like you want to have some kind of a contest here, and I'm not going to fight you. However, I have a chess set in the trunk of my car back at the Olympic Training Center." And so Josh he'd been like right up in my face, and Jason was listening to this, and Mason was watching it, and Mason had taken his beer bottle, which he had finished, and he'd emptied it, and took it and was holding it by the neck under the table, ready to just bash Josh over the head. And Jason, who was sitting on the bar stool with his hand on Josh's back, was ready to just clobber him in a bear hug. And the previous night, I saw Jason choke a guy out because he asked for it. And but the bartender saw this impending doom for their regular customer Josh at the hands of 3 out-of-towners, and decided to intervene. And she came swooping in and said, "Josh, you need to go home now." And so Josh left, and they had called last call a little bit earlier, and so then the 3 of us left. We were walking back to the Olympic Training Center, and Jason's holding on to my elbow because he didn't know where we were, and Mason's walking along on the other side, and they were talking about kind of like an after-action review, and saying things like, "Oh man, we would have rolled that guy. He'd had a bottle broken over his head and been choked out in about 4 seconds." And they both started laughing about it, and Mason started laughing so hard that his prosthetic leg fell off, and he fell into the grass in the sort of the median between the road and the sidewalk in front of the Olympic Training Center. And I thought, this is quite a night. And the next morning at breakfast, we were all having breakfast there in the Olympic Training Center cafeteria, eating our oatmeal and omelets, and Jason and Mason are going, "You guys won't believe what happened last night. This guy tried to fight Karl at the bar, and he challenged the guy to a game of chess." And so, always watch out for a guy who keeps a chess set in the trunk of his car, right next to the jumper cables.